This is Lance and I'm back with a new video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the page, to the channel I should say. We have this Duramax. This is a 23, I believe, 2023 GMC Duramax. Very similar to the systems we've been doing in the past. I took the car apart already and did most of the work. So what we did in the car, so you know, is we did sound deadening on the doors. We did sound deadening, and we went with some Hertz speakers in the door panel. These are the Milli Pros. So we're gonna do a driver in here. We got the sound skins with the speaker adapter. We got the tweeter, the dash, and then we did some Milli Pro coaxes in the rear. So what this car is gonna basically have is the customers would like to have a replacement sub in the center console. So I've gone as far as taking it apart and measured it, and as far as doing an aftermarket sub, I don't think that's going to actually happen because there's just not a lot of room. I mean, we could probably do a 6 and do something crazy, but there's a 6 in there current. So as you can see, we've already taken apart the whole center console. We got to put the bass knob in since we have it apart still. But get everything put back into the car, get the center console back together. Like you can see, I've taken everything apart. This whole truck's apart already. And what we'll do is I'll film the new amp rack we're putting in because we've already pulled the back piece apart. I'll show you that part and then go from there. Just gonna be a couple steps. So door panel's gonna go back on today, and everything else is gonna go together. I'll show you the screen. And the big thing about this one is we're gonna use the Metra, or I should say the Axxess DSP, and we're gonna use that, and we're gonna try and use that to tune this car with it to see how good it is. Most DSPs are really good, and I've been told that this one's pretty decent. Generally, I use it as a preamp. So we're gonna try it with another one, and most cars turn out good. It's just a question of how crazy we want it to sound. So I think it's gonna turn out nice. We'll play it by ear, and then the amp rack's gonna go together, and then we'll videotape that as much as we can, and then we'll go through the tuning process, and I'll show you how that interface works. Okay, stay tuned. So I didn't start videotaping, and I started wiring. So I didn't finish it, but I'm still working on it. So we'll get to the wiring now. We did the amp rack already. I got to clean up a lot of stuff, a lot of vacuuming to do. Got some light here on the subject. And so we're gonna get all the wires ran in here, get the amps. The amps are mounted somewhat. They still have some play to go. I still gotta run some wires for the sub and power and ground. We'll just videotape that part and go from there. So we'll go super YouTube fast mode and get all that stuff. All right. So we got everything done as far as wiring goes. We got the Axxess DSP, which is, I believe, 10 or 12 channels. We got the new Audison 6-channel amplifier with 4 channels of regular power, and the 6th channel, or I should say the last 2 channels are stagger power, so it has more output. And we got our old faithful Audison SR 1.500. So let me give you a little bit of glimpse of the software. So the Metro piece, people have talked about it before, and this is nothing new. It's been out for a while. I use them generally for a preamp, but from what I could tell, like I said, I use them generally for preamps. So what I could tell is that you can also use it as a complete DSP because it has all the channels for a DSP. So let's launch this software and take a look at it. So what you first want to do is really cool. Hopefully you can see it from here, but you want to scan for a device. It's going to tell you where the DSP is. That's the serial number and all that stuff. You're going to connect. Now what I did was I already preset this unit up so I can understand what I did. I went into went to vehicle type. I configured the car, and the best thing I tell you is there's a lockdown button here. Every time you do something, lock it down, because if you don't, the car goes to sleep or something of that nature, it'll lose all that memory. So what's cool about it is, like, we set up the outputs. We told it that 1 and 2 channels of the DSP are tweeters, and 3 and 4 are mid bass, 5 and 6 were sub, and 7 and 8 were rear, left, and right. And what's cool is you can invert or change polarity on the speakers here, and you can mute them just to test. So if you have a concern about what you're doing, you could test it by just muting it, hitting the button, and mute everything one thing at a time. And when you're tuning, when I tune, I try to mute everything, or mute what everything I'm not working on. And then you have your crossover settings. So what's really cool is that you can set up your crossovers at 24 dB. You can do high pass, low pass, and band pass. You can change the crossover point. You can set up your crossovers to work with whatever you got going on, and then you can do your band passes. And what's cool is you can actually click on here and type in the number, and that's a real good time saver. And when you're doing testing, you can make sure what you're doing. So now look at the left, right front of your speaker says 80. Let's go in here. It says 20. Let's go in here and make it 80. We'll clear it and we'll make it 80. Enter. And then we got the subs playing at 80. Let's just change them to 70. Just clear, hit 70, and then we'll play with a little bit, because there's no one set guaranteed crossover point. And then we have the rear speakers at 80. One's at 80, one's at 70. So let's make this one 80. Clear, type in 80, enter, and just go through them all. And don't click on the actual tab here. It'll switch to whatever you're doing. That's the only thing that's kind of sensitive. They're all 24 dB. And all we're gonna do here is like I said before, I go to configure and I hit lockdown, and what it does, it'll shut everything off. Everything will reset and then turn back on. So you at least know you did it, what you've done to it. Then you can go to the outputs again. You can see everything. Crossovers, know your crossover points already there. Then you have your equalizer. Now this is 20 to 20, 30 band. So for those who like to adjust based on what's going on, you can. And you can also reduce gain control here. The one thing I do like about this is the fact that you could see it on one picture. Now, if you do it on a phone, it kind of sucks, in my opinion. And you can go in and reset all the EQs. You can change and play with them as you go, and subwoofer. Now, the only thing I haven't tested is subwoofer if they're tied together. So let's see if I change this here. Let's see if both subwoofers changes. No. So what you have to do is you have to remember, whatever you change on the equalizer side on the sub, unless you wired it mono, you have to go and manually change it on each channel when it comes down to it. Then you have your delay, so you can actually go in here, you can touching there, you can actually type in the distance. So with your tape measure, you can go from the head point to inches and go every individual speaker, which is pretty dope. I wish it was bigger, but hey, beggars can't be choosies. And then you have your input, so you can change chime volume, so you can raise it and lower it. You can't hear it, but it's over there ringing. And then you have the turn signals ticks, because some people like higher ticks and stuff like that. This gives you a clip indication, and you can have your amps turn on based on what's going on. Delay is, I should say, delay on turn on. So if you want to turn on after the fact, you can do that. And like I said, once you do everything you want, you go back here and you lock it down. Everything turns off and everything turns back on. So I'm gonna tune this car and tell you what I think based on how I tune it, and then we're gonna go from there. All right, so I'm gonna tune it the normal way I tune a car. It's 30 bands. I just gotta plug it in, make sure I'm charged on my laptops and all my other stuff, and then set the distances and stuff like that, and go from there. And then I'll show you the results based on my experience. So hopefully you'll get a good insight on how this DSP works. Is it gonna be as good as some of the Helixes and stuff like that? I don't know, we'll find out. It might be just a really, really good piece, and you just have to basically play with it to get what you want, because if it's got 30 bands, it's gotta be decent, you know? Even if it's a parametric, it's gotta be decent, because this has parametric as well. So stay tuned. I'm gonna tune this car, and then I'll tell you the results based on what I have, all right? So I got the DSP all installed. As a DSP, it's actually pretty good. If you have fat fingers, it sucks, because you're changing the EQ sliders with your fingers. And that's the only challenge with this DSP. The crossover points are nice. The EQ is really nice. It's not as easy as other DSPs, because I just think they're just not they haven't figured that out yet, but it's just a matter of time. So when it's all said and done, this car turned out really nice. It sounds really good, has good impact, it's got good details. The customers should love it. The best thing I'd tell you is like, comment, subscribe. I've already kind of said that earlier, but honestly, this car sounds really good. It's dialed, and that, I mean, you can do better with DSPs, but this one's not bad if you're going to use it.